the start of a new relationship between the U.S. and Iraq.
And I want to make it very clear. The United States of America keeps its promises. We kept our promise to end our combat mission in the summer of 2010. And now we are keeping our promise we made back in 2008 to remove our troops from Iraq by the end of this year.
Instead of troops, the Iraqi Prime Minister said he'd like to see American business people.
We hope that American companies in all fields will be present to the same extent that American forces existed.
American goods in this potentially huge market would likely be much more welcome than American soldiers. At this recent trade fair, the Vice President pointed out, 85 American companies with $1 trillion in capital showcased their products. But even in the barricaded green zone, where Biden shared jokes with President Jalal Talabani, security is still precarious. Biden met with House Speaker Osama Najafi just days after a suicide bomber outside of Parliament killed 2 guards and wounded an MP. In the streets, many Iraqis still blame the United States for the lack of security. The U.S. president claiming credit for ending the war in Iraq isn't the same one who started it. But for Iraqis, that doesn't really matter. Most are convinced the United States came here out of its own self-interest. And many fear that as U.S. troops withdraw, they're leaving behind a country more vulnerable than it ever was. Iraqis now have a measure of freedom, but many say they've given up stability.
The situation with the American presence is bad, and as the Americans withdraw, we have foreign interference from neighbouring countries. Even the Americans admit that. If the situation is like that now, after the Americans pull out, it will get a lot worse.
In a country with the biggest U.S. embassy in the world, it still isn't considered safe for Americans to walk the streets, a legacy that no amount of trade is likely to erase anytime soon. Arraf, Al Jazeera, Baghdad.